Hello Summoners, and welcome to another episode of our OP Picks or Bans. In this video, we're going to tell you which champions you have to pick or ban on patch 9.13. With some major nerfs and buffs coming this patch, things are going to get a bit crazy. Let us know down below in the comments if you agree or disagree, or if you just want to give us some love. We always read your comments. But before we get started, make sure to go to ProGuides.com if you want to see huge improvements to your rank right now. With our Pro Pass, you get exclusive Pro courses, and we have a new feature called InstaPro, which provides unlimited 24/7 on-demand coaching from the best of the best. Over 100,000 gamers have used InstaPro today and ranked up significantly, so don't miss out on this opportunity and rank up now using the link below. Alright, as always, first up is the top lane. After his comeback debut to the Rift, Mordekaiser toppled the win rate charts hard. Climbing significantly past a 50% win rate on the first day of his post-rework release, Mordekaiser showed that his 1v9 potential was definitely not a meme. His presence on the Rift was so strong that he merited an immediate hotfix to bring his power level down to something more reasonable. In spite of this, he's still a dominant pick who's wreaking havoc across all brackets of play. Pick Mordekaiser because he's easy to play, a dominant laner, strong duelist, great team fighter, and provides tons of utility. Think of him like a magic damage Darius with a Camille ult instead of resets. While Mordekaiser does have counters, he's strong enough that farming to stay even is enough to make him more than relevant in the mid to late game. If you want to learn even more about him, then check out the only Mordekaiser guide you'll ever need on our YouTube channel. Our second pick for the top lane is Karma. Solo lane Karma's seen a good amount of competitive play across all regions because of her flex pick potential and oppressive laning. The biggest strength of Karma is that she has practically no bad matchups and she's able to bully most champions. No matter who she's versus, she'll be able to find windows to farm and also accelerate her item spikes by abusing Klepto. When playing Karma, you can either build off-tank utility hybrid build, full AP, or AP utility hybrid. The most commonly used build on top lane is off-tank, but take note that part of Karma's strength lies in her versatility, and you can also adjust to each game's needs. The most important thing for Karma top is having a successful lane phase. You need to get as much gold as you can while also denying your opponent as much as possible. Poke your opponents with Q while simultaneously using Kleptomancy auto attacks to pick up some free gold. With practice, you'll get used to and also understand whether you should use your Mantra Q for extra poke or Mantra W for the sustain. By constantly poking your enemies, you'll pick up free gold, build CS leads, push your opponents out of lane, and most importantly, make them want to rage quit. With the gold lead you build, you'll almost always be able to find item leads and become unkillable as a result of Karma's off-tank build. Come the later stages of the game, you'll be able to build utility items to carry team fights and also remain as an unkillable nuisance all game long. Alright, enough with the top lane, let's talk about the jungle. But before we get into jungle, if you guys are jungle mains, I want you to click on the description link below and check out ProGuides.com, where you'll have a ton of resources on how to master the jungle role. Hundreds of thousands of players have seen massive improvements to their rank using ProGuides.com, so click that description link and get started today. In the jungle, we see a familiar face with Vi. We talked about her in our 9.11 video, and she's still a dominant pick. Seriously guys, pick her up. She's not super difficult and has so much potential to carry games. Udyr is another pick that's been dominating the jungle recently as well. With some of the changes made this patch, thanks chat, Udyr will now be able to specialize in a stance by gaining access to a 6th level in his abilities after level 16. Instead of having to use those skill points on an ability you don't even want, you'll now be able to put them into the abilities you primarily use. We believe that up is the only direction Udyr's going this patch. Udyr provides strong control of the jungle because he can stay healthy and is also an insanely strong duelist. Laners typically understand that he has limited mobility, but usually fail to realize how lethal he can be once he gets in range to maul you. When playing him, you'll want to look for as many fights as you can. Although he's kiteable, Udyr will almost always win 1v1 fights and carries most of 2v2 and 3v3 skirmishes. Utilize the Fog of War against champions who outrange you to catch them by surprise, and for melee champions, it's as easy as right-clicking. Make sure to utilize Udyr's fast clear speeds to sneak in a gank when your opponents don't expect it. When playing red side, level 2 ganks are a great opener for Udyr. You're almost guaranteed to get a flash or kill since your opponents will still be level 1 and missing key abilities. On blue side, the enemy bot lane will have more summoners, so give it a try when your own bot lane has good setup. You've got lots of flexibility in your game plan, but you'll want to focus on neutral objectives. Dragon and Rift are easy takes for Udyr. Generally, this will also lead to small skirmishes, which are another one of Udyr's strengths. Udyr is easily kited though, so big team fights means that there'll be some more opponents making his job harder. Instead, try to collapse on side lane split pushers or start objectives on the opposite side of the map from where most players are. Depending on how far ahead you are, you can definitely look for 5v5 fights, but just know they aren't supposed to pan out too well for Udyr. Our third pick for the jungle is Elise. Definitely an underrated pick, Elise provides insane top lane pressure and dive potential across all lanes. If you're duo queuing with a top laner, you need to pick Elise up. Elise's strengths are that she's a safe pick, easily the strongest diving jungler, and excellent at making picks. All of these strengths make her so good at snowballing leads. When playing Elise, you're likely looking to make plays topside. In most games, you'll want to start bot side and path top for your first clear. The reason for this is that it's simply the easiest lane to gank and also to dive. Bot lane ganks are definitely possible because it's a long lane like top. Definitely punish overextended enemies when you have the chance. Dives in the bot lane are harder to execute since there'll be 2 enemies and also potentially 2 extra summoner spells you need to deal with. Top laners will usually run TP, you get the picture, it's just easier to gank top. Elise's strength is diving. Tell whichever lane you want to gank to trade and get your opponents low. Time your ganks with the wave crashing into the enemy turret and initiate dives. You'll be able to rotate through all of your abilities and then use your Spider Form's E to dodge the last tower shot, and you'll also drop tower aggro. When ahead, make sure to switch to sweeper and buy pink wards. You'll want to snowball leads by continuously making picks and counter jungling or taking objectives with a number advantage. Alright, next up is the mid lane. In the mid lane, we have 2 picks, but also want to make a short mention of Ryze. Overall, Ryze's changes seem to be successful in terms of the balanced team's goal for him. Both his weaknesses and strengths are more pronounced. He's absolutely not blind pickable anymore, but when he has farm matchups or favorable ones, he's a monster in the mid lane. Definitely a situational OP pick. Don't be afraid to add Ryze to your champion pool. Alright, with that being said, our first pick for mid is Vladimir. We mentioned him in our 9.10 video, but his recent surge in competitive play and random nerfs hitting other mid lane champs are continuing to show that Vladimir is a pick that can't be ignored. So what's changed? Well, in competitive play, we've actually seen him use new keystones aside from his typical phase rush build. Recently, he's been played with Electrocute as well as Spellbook. When playing him, give each keystone a try and figure out which style works for you, and know that you can adapt with different keystones for each matchup. Also, another thing that's changed is what we just mentioned, Ryze. Ryze is one of the biggest counters to Vlad to keep him in check, and now that Ryze has lost some safety, the matchup is a bit easier for Vlad to play. Our second pick in the mid lane is Twisted Fate. Imagine gaining gold leads by simply farming. Kleptomancy Twisted Fate is the epitome of everything wrong with this keystone. One thing players tend to overlook about TF is his passive. Every time he kills a unit, he randomly gains 1 to 6 gold. Pair this with Kleptomancy, which gives him gold every time he picks a card and throws it at a champion, and you have a money-making machine. It's not only the keystone alone, however, the entire inspiration tree works well with TF, and Resolve gives him the extra durability he needs to survive and continue farming. While some would initially think that it's trolling, TF players are now building ADC. That's right, Trinity Force, Rapid Fire Cannon, and Infinity Edge. These are the staple items with this build. In cases where your team needs AP, you can definitely itemize this with a classic build, but the reason players are using an AD build is because AD items are just simply better. On a champion that can use both AP or AD effectively, ADC items typically have more synergy with each other. The only issue is finding enough gold to reach those power spikes. You guys putting the pieces together? Yep, Klepto gives you that extra pocket change so you can take advantage of Rapid Fire Cannon gold cards and have a self-peeling ADC who can TP anywhere on the map. When playing Klepto TF, all you need to do is farm. The extra sustain from Kleptomancy and your other masteries also gives you the option to poke out your opponents when they make mistakes. Just like regular TF, at 6 you can also pressure side lanes after pushing in your lane as well. Throughout the entire game, use your ultimate proactively to look for picks, flank mispositioned enemies, and continue to scale. Once you have items, you're a team fighting monster. Carry fights and finish 6 items while your opponents are still finishing their 4th or 5th. But ADTF aside, let's talk about the real ADCs now. Our first bot lane pick for this patch is Tristana. Tristana's received some buffs, while Essence Reaver simultaneously received a nerf. Overall, this raises her relative power level and gives her some more resources to win with. In spite of being a scaling hypercarry, Tristana is one of the strongest snowballing champions in the game. Her all-in is terrifying, and she'll be able to jump twice if she detonates her E anytime she gets ahead and kills her opponents in lane over and over again. When playing Tristana, pay close attention to your 2v2 matchup. You don't always have to default to playing her passively. In fact, in some matchups, you're actually better off playing aggressively. Playing too safe will allow your opponents to poke you out slowly and gain leads on their own. This doesn't mean you want to jump headfirst into a Blitzcrank Draven, but definitely test your limits when it's smart to and figure out what fights you win or not. Based on whether you win 2v2 or not, play your lane accordingly. Farm to scale if you can't win, or constantly look to all-in when matchups are favorable. Tristana has great wave clear and hits turrets like a truck, so focus on clearing waves and grouping with your team for turrets. This will naturally also put you in a position for team fights, which you'll definitely want to be at as well. Next up is Caitlyn. A well-recognized bottom lane terror, Caitlyn has slowly crawled back into the meta. Her ability to control lane, build solo leads, and constantly pressure turrets has made her a champion that high elo players look to pick blind or as a counter in many situations. Ideally, as Caitlyn, you'll want to push your lane as much as you can. That doesn't mean constantly fast push. You'll want to use your range and pressure advantage to utilize minion wave management. If you guys are interested in understanding more about minion wave management, then check out ProGuides using the description link below. We have a ton of resources on it. Next up, you're going to want to set up your slow push to create pressure so that you can poke your opponents and freeze when your opponents are low, so you can set up ganks. When your opponents need to recall or your jungler's near for a dive, then you can fast push into a turret and then do so. In most cases, you should make it a goal to take the enemy turret before someone else does near the 14-minute mark. It's a very realistic goal as long as you play methodically and get vision off of your waves crashing into the turret. In the mid-game, group up with your team and place your traps so you can pressure turrets or neutral objectives. Slowly, you'll be able to choke out your opponents and eventually win games doing so. As usual, let's talk about the other friend in the bot lane, supports. First up, Lux is back again from last episode. Seriously, this champion needs some kind of attention, the right kind. No, not another skin. She's really safe, she's a lane bully, provides a bunch of utility, and scales extremely well. Check her out in our last episode's video. Our next pick is going to be Leona. With the rise of squishier supports, it's only natural that an aggressive support like Leona will begin to shine. While her stats might not reflect how strong she is, our analysts believe she'll soon see a surge in her win rate. With how the marksman meta is looking, the bot lane is full of lane bullies and aggressive counter picks to snowballing hypercarries. Regardless of which side she takes, Leona plays a significant role in setting up any of these picks to succeed. The overwhelming amount of CC and damage Leona provides makes her a great champion for creating leads when you want to play aggressively. In lane, look for opportunities to engage when you have minion wave advantages and roam when opportunities arise. If you gain a lead bottom, call your jungler, force a fight, and look for tower or dragon. Don't forget to call for dives when your opponents are low. Leona is great for tanking the turrets and locking down opponents. In teamfights, use your ult to engage or peel for your carries, and in the mid-game, you'll act as a pseudo frontliner, so go hard or go home. In the late game, stun bot duty is where you'll retire to. You're gonna fall off quite a bit as a tank, but you'll have more CDR, so take advantage of it. That concludes our OP picks or bans for this patch. If you guys want to see more content like this, then please subscribe to our channel. If you guys are interested in seeing massive improvements to your rank this season and getting 24/7 coaching, then please check out ProGuides.com using the description link below. We've teamed up with a ton of great pro players and partners to design an entire experience for you guys to rank up. That's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in your next few games, and we'll see you on the Rift.